Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Entirely English. If you have been following our videos, you'll know that our regular viewer, Stuart, suggested we look at British insults and putdowns. This sounded like an interesting subject. I've done some research, and I thought we'd begin today by looking at a Reddit discussion. I will skip some of the things. Some parts of the video will go quickly as I speed it up to get through scrolling, or there will be jumps as I cut and edit, because a lot of these things are repetitive, a lot of them are irrelevant, but there are some really good classic ones in here. I've had a quick look at the first page. So shall we do that together now? On to the discussion. So here we are at the Reddit discussion. I've got no interest in that. Bell end. Wonderful one to start with. Calling somebody a bell end. What is a bell end? Well, males will be familiar with this. And I suppose females as well. It is a part of the male anatomy. If you look at this picture, maybe you can work it out yourself. So you complete bell end, you absolute bell end is calling somebody that. In the heat of an argument, my mum once called my dad a king suitcase. The argument quickly ended when everyone burst into laughter. Yeah, inanimate objects. You add a profanity on it, or the word absolute, or complete, or total, and it just becomes an insult. You total window frame. There's no meaning in the actual object, but it gets the message across. Yeah, I think calling anyone any form of inanimate object quite funny, especially fruit. You total banana. When said with the right emphasis, you can't do much better than the simple twat. It's a very English word. Americans recognize it as an English insult. You twat. What is it really? Just as we had the bell end, this is the female part of the anatomy. So yeah, a kind of polite way of calling somebody the C word. You know what I mean? Which apparently is very offensive, and it's so ingrained as offensive that I can't even say it. I called my husband a twat once, right from the back of the house, and it came out more vicious than I intended, because of how loud it was. Over 20 years ago, and I'm still hearing about how hurtful it was. Oh, you're odd. Oh, you're odd. This is basically calling somebody a wimp. This person says, maybe they're a bit threatening, oh, you're odd. Or if somebody has a beer bottle or a jar of pickled onions for something and they can't open it. Oh, you're odd. You're calling them weak, pathetic, ridiculous. Face that would frighten a police horse. Well, yeah, I'm basically saying somebody's ugly. God, you've got a face that would frighten a police horse. Or at a particular moment. Like, I don't know, you've said something to your partner, and then, oh, that's a face that would frighten a police horse. That will quickly stop them pulling that face. Pillock, another one. Pillock. You're a pillock. Now, I wasn't sure. I thought pillock was a kind of fish, but checking on, I think it was the Urban Dictionary, they say that a pillock is another name for the penis. But nobody thinks that. Pillock is just idiot. You're an idiot. You're a fool. But it's kind of a gentle version. Your son trips over his own feet. And oh, you pillock. It's not offensive. It's just saying you're a fool. Knobhead. Knobhead. You knobhead. Knob, another slang term for the penis. Dickhead is another one, same as that. Knobhead, dickhead. Knobhead, I think, is less offensive. Yeah, you call somebody a knobhead, they do something stupid, like they break the jar of pickled onions they're trying to open. Dickhead is more sort of the Boris Johnson, stupid politician. You've got a face for radio. That's another one insulting somebody's looks. It's like, you've got a face for radio, because nobody would see you. Face like a bulldog chewing a wasp. Now just picture that in your mind. A bulldog, British bulldog, a mangy, wrinkly, fat face, chewing a wasp, stinging in the mouth. You're describing somebody as looking really ugly. Or really upset. It could be somebody upset. What's up, John? You got a face like a bulldog chewing a wasp. I've just got my tax return. Prick. Prick, penis, dick, blah, blah, blah. You prick. Again, it can be inoffensive or it can be offensive depending on the intonation. Yeah, a bit like pet, oh, you prick. But you prick! That's aggressive. So, a lot of these things do depend on intonation. You pillock. You pillock. And then if you add an F word or something onto it, it strengthens it, makes it more offensive. Wanker. Wanker. You'll hear this sort of chanted a lot at football matches. Wanker! Wanker! Apparently, again, according to the Americans, it's a very English word, although I think Australians do use it quite a lot. Tosser and tosspot, basically the same as wanker. Again, tosser can be used gently from tosser, whereas wanker is more of an aggressive form, I would say. Tosspot. Normally when we're talking about someone, you know, the landlord, he's such a tosspot. Won't fix the floor. Gobshite. I think that one originates in Scotland, Ireland, Scotland, I think, because you can feel the accent of it. Literal meaning, you eat shit. Yeah, so you gobshite. Not heard so much these days, but Burke is a retro favourite of mine. Yeah, Burke is a very gentle one in our usage of it. You Burke, you fool, you idiot. Of course they towed your car away. What do you expect when you park in a disabled zone, you Burke? Burke, where's my dinner? That's a quote from a television series called Trapdoor, a wonderful little claymation series. Burke was the little creature that lived in a basement. Animation.
Ancient castle.
And the monster upstairs who we never saw.
This dank and uninviting place lives Burke.
Hello! I think this is rhyming slang for Berkshire Hunt. You know about rhyming slang, Cockney rhyming slang, apples and pears, stairs, Berkshire Hunt. So originally it was an offensive thing, the C word again, but it was shortened to Burke. So nobody thinks about that anymore. It's just Burke, fool, idiot. Here we go. Any word that has absolute before it works with anything. But here, a couple of my faves. You absolute melt. You absolute weapon. You absolute broomstick. Yeah, well, melt, weapon, broomstick. No idea what they're trying to say, but absolute makes it an insult. Normally a gentle insult. Daft. Daft has a similar effect. Immediately enhances any insult. Yeah, daft. A bit like Burke. It's not used so much now, but it is a good word. You are so daft. Oh, John, he's daft. He's an idiot, a fool. Again, it's not an offensive form. You were daft to invest in AOL, that sort of thing. It's a mild form of calling somebody an idiot. Daft. And wazzock. I don't know where that one comes from. I'm too lazy to look on the internet, but it is a good word to get your mouth around. Wazzock. You wazzock. You absolute wazzock. Again, fool, idiot, moron. And there we are, the C word. So versatile can be used to denote best of friends through to mortal enemy. Yeah, there are these particular types of Brits. We talked before. No, we didn't. I mentioned it in a comment, a reply to one of Stuart's comments about how people insult each other. And it's one of these, I think, particularly around London, big cities, but men, football fans, those sort of people get together and they'll call themselves that sort of thing.
Can I get any of you a drink?
My dad once told someone, "Off, you absolute fridge." Still to this day, it makes me laugh. You absolute smeg. Oh, smeg. Smeg became popular as a word through Red Dwarf, if you know that television series. Lister was always calling Rimmer a smeghead. And there's a classic scene where they would, I think it was an American sort of Comic-Con type thing. And somebody asked, "Excuse me, what is smeg?" And the guy who plays Dave Lister just...
What does smeg mean?
Yeah, I don't want to get into it. If you want to know the actual meaning of smeg, look on the internet and then go and have a shower. Okay. My mate used to deliver. I remember my first beer with such precision it made just had to rethink their choices. Yeah. Yeah, I remembered that with, I think it was Billy Connolly in one of his stand-up comedies. Some heckler shouted from the back and he went, "Ha, yeah, I remember my first beer. Numpty. That's a nice one, numpty, you numpty." One of my colleagues at school would often call her students numpties or muppets. Muppet was another one. "You muppet, you numpty." She was a maths teacher. "You numpty. Of course you don't subtract it, you add it." It's inoffensive. It's not even like calling somebody a fool. It's so, like, it was a silly thing to do at that moment kind of situation. Working with kids for years, I've learned that most foodstuffs make effective but child-friendly insults. My favorite is "you banana." Works surprisingly well on adults too, as people try to work out whether they can be offended or not. This reminds me when I was teaching every year the new students, like year 8 students, when they were taking drama classes and they had to improvise a scene. Maybe we're doing realism. And there'd always be somebody who said, "Can we swear? Can we swear? Because that's real." And I'd say, "Well, we've got to keep it clean." So you can call somebody like, "You absolute hamster. You complete pudding." And that's okay. And if you say it with the right emphasis, it has that effect of maybe being a swear word, maybe being a put down, maybe just saying, "Stop doing what you're doing." The kids were always disappointed. They wanted to F and blind all over the place. I was 17 and lost my provisional license the day of my driving test, which meant I couldn't take the test. Sat in the car with my instructor. He looked at me with despair and told me I was a silly sausage. I'm in my 40s now and I'm still recovering from this experience. Yeah, silly sausage is alliteration is very popular with these sort of put downs. And silly sausage was a very popular one. I think it began in the 30s or 40s, possibly from a radio or television series. "Oh, you silly sausage." Ma'am, I've got my head stuck in the toilet." "Oh, you silly sausage." Plonker, of course. Plonker became very popular because of the series Only Fools and Horses. If you haven't watched it, go and find it. It's brilliant. And Del Boy, the elder brother in the series, would always call his younger brother, Rodney, a plonker.
"You stupid little plonker, Rodney."
Again, fool, idiot, but not massively insulting. Dipstick. Yeah, I can never understand why that was an insult, unless it relates to penis. But a dipstick is that metal thing in the car. You put it in the engine and pull it out to see how much oil is in the engine. Scotland would like to offer you the bore bag and also the bore hair as a unit of fine measurement. I also superbly enjoy hearing anyone get called a fanny, including me. No idea what bore bag or bore hair are. If you're going to visit Scotland, it may be worth looking it up. But fanny is a funny one. You might be aware that there's this difference between English and American. In America, fanny is a bum or an ass, rear portion of a person. Whereas in Britain, it's the front portion of a lady. So when we started getting the American shows here, and the 1940s, 1930s, and somebody say, "Oh, I slapped her fanny." British audience were like, "Oh, he should be arrested." Very different situation. Your da sells Avon. Many of you possibly won't be familiar with this because you are the internet generation, but back again, 40s, 50s, 60s, right through to the 70s, women used to have these Avon parties. They'd get some friends together and they'd have all the Avon products, or it'd be like Tupperware as well, plastic containers. They'd get together and they'd have drinks of tea and they'd make their friends order the products. And it was a very female business. Women would do it. It was what they called pin money. The wife would earn pin money by doing Avon or Tupperware once a week. So saying your dad sells Avon is like saying he's a girl. Your dad's a wimp. I'm a Scottish techie teacher. I take delight in getting kids to think from where the fantastic boar hair derives. Most know what it is, a wee measurement, wee meaning small measurement, but few, if any, know. I think it means know the real meaning of it. Boar hair, so something very small. I'm guessing it's possibly like a pubic hair. Again, you do the research. Spanner. Yeah, we often call people a spanner. Again, it's another phrase for idiot. You spanner, you plonker, you idiot, you fool. And king plank, yeah, add king to the start of any word. Potato, bird, nail, anything, and it makes it an insult. You couldn't knock the skin off a rice pudding. Explanation for those who don't know. Rice pudding is a dessert. It's rice, as you are probably aware, and it's cooked in milk or cream. Tastes delicious. But when you leave it to stand, when it gets cold, you get a skin on top. Just like when you boil milk, you get skin on top. So saying you couldn't knock the skin off a rice pudding is calling somebody weak, pathetic. I'll have you, mate, you couldn't knock the skin off a rice pudding. He could. If your bollocks dropped, you'd be blind. This is a way of calling somebody a dickhead. Dick, bollocks, drop. Bollocks, for those who don't know, testes, testicles. Bus wanker. So here we got the word wanker again. Bus wanker is somebody who rides a bus. Like a bike wanker is somebody who rides a bike. You're driving down the road, a cyclist pulls out in front of you, a bike wanker. It's just a way of insulting them for the way they travel. Your dad sells Avon. Your dad. Your dad wanks on all fours. Okay, that's interesting. Describing him like a dog or something. He's thicker than a submarine door. Okay, comparatives are quite popular in insults. As thick as two short planks is another one that the people use, just to emphasize how stupid somebody is. Donald Trump, he's as thick as a submarine door. Jog on, and on your bike. Yeah, these are both phrases for like, go away, and you're talking rubbish. Donald Trump is going to save the world. Jog on. It's like, go away, you're an idiot. On your bike, same thing. Go away. Get lost. You're about as useful as a chocolate fire guard or a chocolate teapot. So a little image there for people who don't know what a fire guard is because of central heating. People don't often have open fires now, but it was this little cage you put around the fire so that coals and sparks wouldn't come out and set your home ablaze. So fire guard, a chocolate one, yeah, totally useless. Chocolate teapot, put hot water in it, melt, totally useless. So you are as useful as a chocolate teapot. You're not useful at all. Waste of space. Well, that's another phrase as well. A waste of space. He's a waste of space. Like that space he occupies in life could have been used by something useful. As a Yorkshireman may offer daft apeth. Underrated. Yeah. So you've got this word daft and apeth. Some people think it comes from the word ape, like you stupid monkey, you daft apeth, or from the word halfpenny, which was a coin of the realm, halfpenny, half a penny, often reduced to halfpenny or halfpenny, and daft apeth could come from that. Again, this sort of etymology of the word is lost in the mists of time, and people make speculations about it, but the phrase daft apeth says enough. Like, you're a fool, you're an idiot, pillock. Knob jockey. Knob, penis, jockey. Right, so you call somebody a knob jockey, you're saying they're gay. Obviously, in this world now, we're not allowed to use gay or puff or any of those phrases as an insult, because that's, I don't know, non-inclusive, race, I don't know. But, yeah, knob jockey, you're a puff. Pillock. Jobsworth. Jobsworth, this is somebody who says their job is important. Like, you come back to your car at the moment a traffic warden is writing a ticket, and he could stop. He hasn't done all the details. And you say, sorry, I'm going now. No, I'm writing the ticket. He's a job's worth. Comes from the phrase, it's more than my job's worth. So you might say, look, just let it go. I'll get the car out of the way. And he's like, oh, no, it's more than my job's worth. So a job's worth. Calling somebody a job's worth is saying they are unsympathetic, unbendable, not nice. In describing someone as an acquired taste. Yeah, acquired taste is an interesting phrase. It means that you participate in this thing like eating oysters until you like it, until it becomes something pleasant to you. And my brother made this observation and it completely bowled me over. An acquired taste means that originally you didn't like it. Oysters and snails. But you forced yourself to keep going until you could enjoy it. So calling somebody an acquired taste can mean that you're going to struggle to like them, or it could mean that they are worth the effort. He's an acquired taste, but give it time. But I think if you have to acquire a taste for something, it's not worth the effort ever. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries. Yeah, it's not really a put down or an insult we use. This is just a quotation from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberry.
Okay, when you're wearing shirt and tie or suit for a wedding or whatever, what time's the court hearing? Yeah. There's an old joke. What do you call a scouser in a suit? The accused. When somebody is in a suit and tie, when you don't normally see them that way, you say this. It's basically saying you're a criminal. Or, what time's the funeral? I remember once when I was in my teen years, I was working in a shop and my brother Steve came in and he was wearing a suit. And I was like, whoa, when's the funeral? And he said, in half an hour, I need to get. I was like, feckin' idiot from my Irish mother. Yeah, feckin' is a dialectical spelling, writing of the way they pronounced the F word, and idiot for idiot. In fact, if you watch the series Father Ted, they say feck all the time because it could get past the television censors. Because officially it's not a bad word, feck. I bet your nan gets bullied at bingo. Your nan gets bullied at bingo, your grandmother gets bullied by the other grandmothers. Weak family. Divvy. Divvy is a word. Again, calling somebody a fool. He's a divvy. There is some speculation this comes from the divot, which is that lump of grass that golfers knock out of the ground when they hit the ball. So he's a divot, he's a divvy, he's this small tuft of waste ground. So, a fool. You blithering idiot. That's a wonderful phrase. Very popular in sort of 50s, 60s. You see it in films and television shows. Blithering idiot. Blithering is like blathering. It's like when you listen to Boris Johnson speak. You can't get the words out properly. So It's like the town idiot. Wank stain. Calling somebody a wank stain. Not just a wanker, but a wank stain, what is left after the action. Your brain says marry rich, but your face says study hard. In other words, you want to marry into wealth, but you're too ugly, so you need to make yourself a career. Toe rag. That's another old one. I think I remember seeing this in television shows from the 70s. Toe rag. It's like rat, calling somebody a rat. But sometimes it was used for like teenagers. Little toe rag, scamp. Somebody who's a bit uncontrolled. Now this guy's put, if my hamster looked like you. Normally it's if my dog looked like you. Hamster doesn't really work in the sentence. If my dog looked like you, I'd shave its arse and teach it to walk backwards. So your face is uglier than an arse. Even Shakespeare, you egg. We just use any object, because people get the message by your tone of voice. And you bummer, also bummer, is just another way of calling somebody gay. And go piss up a rope is waste your time somewhere else. Don't bother me with whatever's on your mind. All right, we'll leave it there. Any comments, any questions? Any things that are similar in your culture, your country? The English-speaking countries will have very similar ones, or converse one. The whole fanny thing is very bizarre between America and Britain. Any that you've heard that you're not sure about, because we will do a second part of this. As you see, we haven't finished this Reddit page. And then we have others. So there's going to be several of these videos. Unless there's no interest, in which case I'll just move on to the next subject. So let me know what you think. Pop it in the comments. If you like this, do click the like button. If you want to stay up to date, if you want to catch the next part of this, click subscribe. Share it with anybody you think would be interested. And do come back next time. Thanks for your attention. Hope to hear from you. Bye-bye now.